Alright, I know there's a lot of trolling going on in chat. I'm going to address this real quick. First off, Zombie Grub does play StarCraft 2. She has not lost her passion for it. She's better at it than I am. And she couldn't wake up for this first match because it was undecided. We weren't quite sure if we were going to be able to cast it or not. But she's going to be around for the follow-up one of My Insanity versus Empire Fnatic. So if you guys want to get your grub on, stick around for that. However, this is match 2 in this best of 9 between these two teams. It's a best of 1 between every player that plays today, and currently, at the moment, it is in the top left corner of the map, the newcomer to the arena, the Blue Terran Liquid's Bunny. His opponent at the bottom right, the really aggressive Zerg player, showing it quite well in that last game versus Hero, the red Zerg, Tefel. Of course, playing for Team Dignitas, but their alliance within the Acer Team Story Cup is Complexity-Dignitas. To explain this out really quick, guys, the way a lot of this works is neither Complexity nor Dignitas, neither Fnatic nor Empire could really fully foster a team on their own. And of course, Acer Team Story Cup is cool and lets them actually combine forces with another team. So, I mean, currently it's both the alliance teams that are in last places in the overall standings. But it's not because they're an alliance team, I'd say. It's just every other team in this league is so freaking strong. I mean, again, you got Axiom, Acer, Team Liquid, My Insanity, you name it, Mouse Sports, they're there. I mean, this is why I've been blessed, I would say, with the opportunity to cast Acer Team Story Cup, because there's always good games, there's always good matches, and what makes it best is, of course, being a best of 9. It means more games, more matches. Now, this is not going to be as easy for Tefel, I feel. This sounds really silly to say, but I've seen Tefel struggle more against other European Terrans than he has against Korean Terrans. For example, and this is going to sound silly, from games we've cast specifically, I don't know about like their ladder matches or other tournaments they've been in that we haven't seen them, Tefel versus a particular player named Froz. Froz is from the team Missing in Action. He's nobody super duper special outside of our own spectrum, but he actually beats Tefel senseless every time they play. And Froz is like a decent Korean, or sorry, not Korean, decent European Grandmaster. Like, I don't want to take anything away from him. But the point is, you compare that up with someone like Hero, you gotta say, like, okay, well, Hero's gonna win that game every single time. But if we're gonna be honest, the results of game 1, not that shocking to me. Because again, Tefel, this Polish dude, is just, I don't know, there's magic to him. But Buddy's European. He's not Korean. He plays about as good as a Korean, and he's got some very different tactics than that of, say, Tasia. So, sending him out against Tefel early on, I don't think is a bad choice at all by Team Liquid. There's always that little bit of strategy, and of course, you don't want to send out your big guns right away either. Like, if you play Tasia really early, and they knock him out, all of a sudden you're screwed, you know, until much later. Same kind of goes for players like Snoot or TLO. Like, everyone in Team Liquid has a very specific role they can fill, much better than others. And you never wanna waste that talent, so to speak, by sending it out too early. But of course, this is a lot of over-strategizing, but more so a lot of theory crafting here for the Acer Team Story Cup, because I really do enjoy just sitting back and getting to think about, like, what must be going through the managers' heads. I know on multiple occasions we've talked to some of the players. We haven't exactly had the Take TV interviews, just like me messaging them on Skype. And pretty much every player I've ever contacted says, like, they don't really care about the strategy. It's not up to them. They don't have to worry about it. They're just here to win. And it makes sense, because, I mean, this is a weird device. Sorry, ADD. It makes sense, though, because, again, all these matches are best of 1s between these players. So it doesn't really matter who your opponent is. You have to win, or you're out type thing. Now, we got the gases coming up for Bunny a little bit later. What I do like about Bunny, by the way, guys, first off, he did play really greedy. I'll throw that out there. Just get that out of the way. But he's a player who, again, he's one of the few Terrans, I would say, can both mech and bio. I don't know which we'll see here in King Sejong Station. We've seen mech becoming a lot more popular amongst Terran players, but I kind of think bio's got to be a strong suit versus Tefel. Because again, if Tefel goes Roach Hydra the way he does, mech does not have a good time with that. But it's worth noting, guys, and this is still a recent change, so just on the off chance not everyone's aware of this, Hellions no longer require the transformation servo upgrade. They simply require you have an armory, which is the prerequisite to making Hellbats. So what I'm kind of looking forward to as we see more TVZs in the upcoming days is I want to see like these earlier pushes. Like Bunny, okay, granted he didn't open with a double Reaper or even triple Reaper for that matter. He went for the greedier build and that's fine. But what I'm kind of hoping we see out of more of these players is whether you're going for the greedy openings, whether you're going for the earlier harass, when you have every Terran player is going to have 6 Hellions at some point, right? Like you're going to want to be able to go across the map, clean up some creep, potentially kill the mineral line. But yeah, the option of being able to turn those into Hellbats later, I mean, Hellions right now, in the state of Zerg versus Terran in StarCraft 2, they expire. They really don't get a lot done past like the 12-minute mark, at which point they're just going to get annihilated by anything they see. Whereas Hellbats are a completely different role altogether. They pair up very well with Bio right now, and we actually do have Bio coming out of Bunny right now. But yeah, the Hellbat change is something that's still has yet to be full effect. Like literally, like yesterday or 2 days ago or something, it got changed. So it's still pretty fresh, pretty new. But these are roaches coming out of Tefel right off the bat, so even if there are going to be Hellbats or Hellions, regardless, roaches will deal with them pretty nicely. It is a weird dynamic, because again, like if you guys have never seen it, for whatever stupid reason, roaches do less damage than a Hellbat, but they've got range, so it's tit for tat, I guess. Tomato, tomato, whatever. Neither of those are correct sayings, just ignore me. Cancels the creep tumor so doesn't lose it. Nice move out of Tefel. I like this though. Siege Tank and a Marauder coming out of this behind Bunny. So for Bunny, I don't know if this is because he's playing the player or if this is just his kind of go-to right now. We're seeing Polt also make a lot of Marauders as a quick follow-up to whatever opener he goes with. But yeah, Tefel is notorious for roaches. He's notorious for Hydralisks. These are two things that I think every player will tell you that Tefel is very, very good at doing. So going for these earlier Marauders and tanks, this will help keep back the roaches early on. Now, a problem we are going to run into here, sorry, let's get my protection tab back up, is he's trying to take a third. This is going to be a little bit frustrating to secure. Early on, again, Bio beats out roaches. We've all seen this, especially once Stimpak comes into play. But there's not going to be Medivacs out, not till a few minutes from now, but still, once this Medivacs come out, it becomes a lot easier to deal with any sort of roach push. The other thing, too, is because his wall is so shallow, he can't do the secondary wall we've seen some players executing over here, and he'll have a much more open engagement area where quite frankly, roaches could just be like, roach, 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 and kill the tank. Yeah, I know roaches don't actually say their name. I know roaches aren't Pokemon. You don't need to explain that to me, okay? I just like to pretend that that's what they do, because they make really weird noises when they walk. That's my best attempt at an impression. At any rate, the production for Bunny's looking really good. He hasn't exactly sacrificed tech for this either. He does need to get an armory out. He now has an armory on the way, actually. Let's take that back. But yeah, his 1-1's on the way here in a moment's time. Now, Roach Hydra's got a lot of different ways to counter this. I think a lot of the times right now we're seeing a lot of people get frustrated trying to use tanks and see them get demolished by combination Vipers with their Blinding Cloud / Abducts and the raw power of Roach Hydra. But the greatest success I've seen in recent days, guys, mass Medivacs. It sounds so dumb, but if every one of your Marauders has like a personal healer, they're not going to go down to the Roaches or the Hydras. Roaches hit really hard, but hit really slow. Hydras hit pretty decently, but they hit really fast. So I mean, it's this weird dynamic where the two together make up pretty nicely, but the tanks are always going to be really beneficial early on, especially like this. I do like the sort of forward bunkers. They're not exactly going to stop the roaches, but it's a whole other attack they got to make. That's a big spread they have to do to compensate for this. They can't just kind of A-move into the tanks. But wow, Tefel hitting from multiple angles, both sides. Bit of a risky move here. He's definitely got the numbers on the bottom. We'll leave the numbers on the top. Oh, the SUVs are a little bit too late to repair, so these could move on top of the tank. Bunny, though, is going to win the southern fight, and with this bio, he can clean up what's above him. For Tefel, this was a pretty big dedication of units, but it was not an all-in. I didn't really even kill that many SUVs. Got about 8 kills there. Oh, that's right. We're on Europe. Europe, for some reason, is the only game heart that has this swaggy option down here. Pardon me for describing like that. I meant to say swanky, not swaggy. But yeah, no, I like this. It shows workers killed in combat, and only recent workers killed too. So not like the overall workers killed tab up here. Oh, you know what? I put the hotkey on for first blood and just realized I never did first blood. My bad. Engagement's still getting caught up here towards the north. Of course, for Bunny, he doesn't have a giant amount of tanks to spread. But the key thing isn't the tanks, it's those Medivacs. And now they're starting to roll. He's got 2-2 upgrades on the way. And Tefel's going for an infestation bit? This is going to be for earlier fungals, I wonder? I mean, if this was mech, you go Swarm Host, but you don't typically do Swarm Host versus Bio. A big part of this isn't because, like, you know, Marines are not good versus Swarm Hosts per se, but it's more about the fact that you can pick up and drop around the map, and Swarm Hosts are the worst at responding to that. That is another big catch of Roach Hydra. They're very slow to respond. So where there are some times where like you'll drop in the main as the Terran player and they'll immediately be Zerglings and Banelings on your ass, it's going to take like a good extra 5 or 10 seconds for the Roaches and the Hydralisks to get there. So without Banelings, Zerglings, or even that speed benefit, he's not going to be able to do too much of that. Rest in peace, poor Marine. For Bunny too, it's a bit frustrating. Because of course, obviously, he'd love to drop right now, but he needs every bit of supply at home. So fungal growths... potentially. Hive tech, probably. I mean, I was waiting to see the hive get started right away and get vipers involved, but going for infestors without pathogen glands is a very strange choice to me. For those who I guess are less aware, what pathogen glands does is it gives the infestors a little bit of an extra energy kick when they start, or when they're created. Nice pick off a couple units here, freebies in the middle of the map. So they can, for example, instantly fungal growth instead of having to wait around for like a good 25 seconds before being able to fungal. What is Tefel doing? He needs to fix this rally. He is bleeding out way too many units to this. Like, this is still just a rally mistake. I don't understand. Now he's got slow lings on top of this as well. Okay, well, looks like he's finally fixed it, so this is not going to be as bad. Bunny got so much value out of this, like, walk, I guess. Like, it wasn't really a drop. He's just walking around the middle of the map, but with a very large army on his own side of the field. Both players maxed out. This is looking pretty good for Bunny. Now, either he can sit back, lock down the 4th, and then push later, or push right now. If he does push right now, this will give him the chance that he puts down a 4th behind this. Kind of that, you know, best defense is a good offense type mentality. But for Tefel, he's getting set up from multiple angles. He's got a couple infestors over here. I think he's still misrallied around the middle of the map, but that's okay. Fungal growth will deal a decent amount of damage to this, but I mean, it's not like it's forcing a fight like you would normally love for it to hold units in place to do, because Bunny's in full force, pushing through the middle of the map. Fungal growth, again, it used to do a ton of damage. It still does a pretty decent amount, but it's nothing crazy, as we see the Marines still live to see another day. 3-3's on the way, but not here yet, so he's got to be careful with this engagement. We've got a lot of lings being pushed back by this sort of leapfrog slowly with these tanks. Again, these are going to be so good to have to keep the infestors back more than anything else, but for Tefel, you know, this 4th base is not the end of the world. He has forgone a little bit of tech in favor of a lot of brute force, but with that hive coming up behind us, it's critical he doesn't lose too many of these units. He needs to keep this alive in order to have the vipers. There's no point in going for hive tech and getting vipers out if you've got nothing to use to fight with them. So some hydras are popping up behind this. Is he just going to wait for the broodlings? Is he going to fully pull back? Yeah, he's just going to fully pull back. Good disengage here out of Tefel. But at the same time, Bunny never got a, like, you know, his perfect case scenario would have been to, of course, get a supply drop, or not supply drop, a drop behind this, maybe get a little bit more supply out of Tefel. But an army fight is being forced here in the middle of the map. Bit awkward on both sides. Marauders are just like, wait, what are we doing here? And the slow lings are soaking up a lot of these hits, actually. But still, they're slow Zerglings, and they're not really dealing a ton of damage. For Bunny, of course, he's starting to bleed out a little bit, so he backs up towards those tanks, looking pretty good there. Medevac still going strong, and this Bioforce looks like it's got no answer to it. Tefel is going to lose so many of these Hydrals. Hive Tech is done, but he's not going to get to utilize it. As his army falls, so will he. He cannot remax at the same rate you normally would with lings and banelings. GG is called, and Liquid Bunny will take the game, tying up the series now 1-1 with Team Liquid.